e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, e takes d4, knight takes d4, queen h4, knight f3, queen takes e4 check, bishop e2, knight f6, castle kingside, queen e7, knight c3, queen d8, rook e1, bishop e7, bishop d3, castle kingside, bishop g5, d6, queen d2, bishop g4, queen f4, bishop takes f3, g takes f3, knight e5, king h1, knight takes d3, c takes d3, knight h5, bishop takes e7, knight takes f4, bishop takes d8, rook a takes d8, rook e7, knight e6, rook e1, rook f e8, rook takes e8 check, rook takes e8, f4, f5, knight b5, a6, knight d4, king f7, knight takes e6, rook takes e6, rook c1, c5, rook c2, rook e1 check, king g2, rook d1, rook c3, b5, rook a3, b4, rook takes a6, rook takes d3, b3, king e6, rook a7, king f6, h4, king g6, f3, rook d2 check, king g3, d5, rook a6 check, king h5, rook a7, king h6, rook a6 check, g6, rook a7, d4, a4, b takes a3 en passant, rook takes a3, rook d3, rook a5, rook c3, rook b5, king h5, rook b7, h6, rook c7, d3, rook c8, rook c1, rook d8, rook d1, rook d5, d2, king f2, rook h1, rook takes d2, rook h2 check, king e1, rook takes d2, king takes d2, king takes h4,